Holy intro, Batman. I had it stuck on the loop there. But anyway, we got some great intros, some great music. Way to start off the show. Welcome to the show on a Wednesday night, 8:05. Welcome everybody. Second show of 2024. Still weird to say, and we're joined again with a friend, Don Foose. Don, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for coming back. We had a great time last time. Of course, we had a really great conversation, and I'm glad that you came back so quick. And one of the first guests of the new year. So we're going to have a great conversation tonight. If you guys have some questions for Don, just put them in the chat and we'll ask. Or questions for me. What's up, Van Life? Good to see you. Hey, buddy. And hey, Bud Files. Good to see you. Hello. Again, Don's links are Soul for Real. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for sharing it out on Twitter. Welcome in, everybody. Don, of course, his website is
Fooseforlife.com.
Fooseforlife.com.
Yeah,
it's in the description in the bottom so that you can get a hold of Don. What's going on, Don? How was your new year and everything like that?
Everything's going well, and my band One Life All In, we're starting to write new music. He just sent me a really cool song the other day, so I'm pretty excited to write to it, and just ready to make some new goals and go after them.
Awesome. So they sent you one song, or you got a bunch of songs from the guys now?
I got a couple songs from before, but this new one's pretty slamming.
Really? Good. Yeah. So this is one that you get from somebody who comes and you're like, yeah, this one, we got to work with this one.
Yeah. And I'm already thinking about at the end of it, I think we need to cut the guitar and just ride it out with bass and drums. And I got ideas. So I'll send my ideas back with them. And then we collaborate until we can all agree that the baby's been born and dressed and ready for school.
Right. Now, I think I asked you this last time. How do you, now you already had lyric ideas, like you drive around, anybody that writes lyrics, I think you're always thinking of lyrics or a good title or something, but do you have to hear that music first?
Yeah. You know what? I like to hear the music, and then I like to turn on my sauna at 145 degrees, and I'll sit in there until I get a good sweat going, and I pull out the notebook and I start writing.
Wow.
It's odd, but I that's the way I write. And sometimes I'll go into the forest and write too. That's somewhere where I can really think clearly.
So the heat and then the silence of the forest, or sometimes the forest isn't silent. There's chirping and a natural rhythm going on. Maybe that's something that influences you too.
And then sometimes I'll listen to songs from my childhood that really had an impact on me. Songs that, make me a little bit emotional or something, to kind of dig down into some layers of who I am. And that helps me find a starting block,
Yeah. So Rick, what's going on? Donnie, Rick says, Donnie, let's highlight.
Man, Rick. Nice. Yeah. Boy, Fagan. What's up, Ricky?
What's up, Mike? Hey. Good to see you. Mike Jones.
Mike Jones, bitch.
Is that where that comes from? Mike Jones.
Yeah. He's the dude. Yeah, he's like, back then didn't want me. Now the bitch is all up on me. He was great. He used to say that. He was great.
Okay, that's where that comes from. All right. Yeah. All right. So we're out there writing in the wood, but no, what has an idea hit you already for this song?
No.
I just you got
music, and I kind of know where I want to go with it. And then I'll sit down the day that I write. I always kind of wait till I'm inspired. Like sometimes I'll just feel like, today I want to write a song. I'm just in that zone, and I'll sit down and things just start coming off. Oh, there's my boy, J. Curtis Strickland, Yanagamya, Prabhu.
DF in the house. TF, good to see you.
Yeah.
And then we got Kastuba.
Kastuba.
Language.
My dude.
Oh, he's telling you to watch your language. I think you were a little sweary there.
Yeah,
Find it.
you don't want the poor orphan boys from Piccadilly listening to me.
Yeah. You don't. You might want to. You'll negatively influence them with your conversation.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, but yeah.
You
Yeah. That's great.
try.
So, are you? Do you? Are you influenced by politics nowadays, or you said you're going back to your growing up? You're digging into a little bit of deeper stuff of Don rather than being influenced by what's going on politically and kind of time stamping or time dating what you're
Yeah.
writing.
It's funny because like I've never really been a political person, and it's just a bunch of garbage anyway. There's no real truth in politics. But like on the new One Life All In album, it's called "I Had the Storm." The song "I Had the Storm" is a little bit political. It's about the time, during COVID, whenever everybody was all up in arms about, there was so much strife, so much anger, so much
Oh,
on.
yeah, yeah,
There were riots everywhere, and it was Black Lives Matter and this and that, and
yeah,
transgender equality and all this stuff that was going on, and so much hatred.
yeah,
And that song is about putting aside all that hatred, joining together, loving people, coming to positive conclusions, and working together and stuff. In a society that's so me based. Everyone's just about me, me, me.
right, right. Uh, yeah. Good evening, Kelly. Good to see you. Good to see you, Kelly. Yeah, we were talking about. I mean, we were talking backstage, and we were talking about Bob Golick, which we'll get into some Bob Golick talk here in a little
Yeah,
bit.
right.
But I was listening to Bob Golick on the radio before we came on, and they were talking about that same stuff that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And man, my blood, I have to turn it off. My blood immediately starts to boil, and I just get really passionate about it, which I'm sure everybody does about their beliefs. But one key thing that you said right there was just the division. The division was just unbearable. That was the most unbearable. All the other stuff was kind of trivial compared to the division that it created. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I practice Eastern philosophy. I'm a disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he taught we are not this body. That's the one thing you need to understand about life. If you're going to understand anything, you have to start with we are not this body, we're a spirit soul. It's like none of us got a choice of what body we were going to get, where we were going to be born, who we were going to be related to. It's like that's why I don't believe in hating anybody for the race or the religious belief or whatever. Just love everybody and agree to disagree if you need to be an idiot.
Right. Right. Yeah. What's up? God rides a Harley. Good to see you.
Who's that?
What's up? God rides a Harley. He's saying,
Right.
hey everybody, good to see you. Yeah, I like hearing that. What
Yeah.
what you're just saying. Who is it that you study?
Srila Prabhupada, that's the short name. He passed away in 1977 at the age of 81, but like his teachings are so amazing. They just like really it awakened my dormant God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. And it's not even really a religion. It's a way of life. It's realizing you're not this body or spirit soul. You learn how to meditate. You learn how to think on a higher level, but in simplicity. And that's what I like. I'm a real simple person, and I like to, like I'll meet people and they're really confused about life. And the confusion usually comes from them bombarding their lives with unnecessary necessities. Like they're in 10 different clubs and they're on the internet all day screwing around and they have no time for the good, righteous things in their life. They got all this time to try to squeeze in all the ignorant things, So
I agree with you 1,000,000%. I mean, these are things that I say all the time. Uh,
yeah,
uh, there was a point, like we're talking politics and just other things, that I gave it all up, man. I built like a Jimmy Buffett lifestyle in my backyard, and I
ah,
didn't pay attention for 5 years, And I got to tell you, those were awesome 5 years. And then I think, what you were talking about earlier, what we all experienced a few years ago, obviously brought you back in because it directed you on a daily basis. It was like, you know, all this was invading my backyard, right? So because you had to change lifestyle and things like that. But
Yeah.
I definitely was always a proponent of, you know, uh, being, planting things, touching the ground, being surrounded by plants, trees, shrubs,
That's it.
food to grow, water, rocks. I realize the spirituality it is into turning everything off,
Yeah.
right? And just getting dirty, man, or just sitting there and listening to nothing. Listen to the rhythm of the birds, like you said, going out into the forest. And I'm hoping that that's one of my resolutions. Is once, obviously, I can't go in the backyard right now; it's a little cold. But when spring comes, to get back out there and make a conscious effort to stay more in touch with that stuff, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things to do is to be at, I do construction and I work out in the ice cold weather. Like today, it was 45-mile-an-hour winds coming off the lake. We're pouring concrete, but I like to be in the cold. Cold brings out a lot of truth. I like doing cryotherapy where you stand in this, it's almost like
Yeah.
almost like a telephone booth, and it gets minus 235 degrees in there, and you stand there for 3 minutes and tolerate it, and you breathe deep and you focus, and it's a great way to heal. But hey, my boy Duff. Yeah, so I'm all about cold, and I have a sauna. I sit in the sauna too, and it's great therapy. So cold and heat bring out a lot of emotion in people.
Yeah. Why is that? Well,
Heat
I
shock proteins and cold shock proteins. That's why, and they release endorphins.
oh, so it's something psychological or
Physio.
physiology. Yeah,
Yeah,
physiology inside the body.
right.
Uh, I would imagine cold too. It's pretty hard to concentrate. I bet it kind of almost puts you in survival mode, right?
In a sense, it does, um, but it's great. It boosts your metabolism too. You burn brown fat by being in that condition. So I like pushing my mind and my body. Like even whenever I do a workout, I'll go down to the park. There's like 3 stories high up in the woods down by the beach in Rocky River, and I'll run those stairs. I wrote about that in my book, Motivate Me. A story about when my knee was bad. I thought I needed to get a meniscus operation, but I was like, nah, I think I need to. I had one torn meniscus before. So instead of having the second operation, I'm like, I'm going to do this naturally. So I've always run stairs because I used to box, and that's one of my favorite workouts. So I would run to the top and down 12 times, and that would be my cardio after my workout. And then I go down there and I started running, and I wanted to repair my knee. So I did 12. I was pretty beat. Next time I went down, I'm like, I got to do 15. Did 15. Then I got up to 20. And then I got up to doing 25. And I'm pushing my mind, and I'm thinking, wow, I don't think I could do more than that. But then, listen, I don't know. Do you know who David Goggins is?
No, nope. Please fill us in.
Yeah, David Goggins. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He's in his mid 40s, and he runs all these crazy races, 120-mile runs and stuff. And he's all about pushing the mind places where it's never been before. And just, he said, whenever you feel physically like you're totally beat and done, he goes, you're only at about 40%. You have so much more. So I would hear him. And so
Wow.
I'd start listening to him whenever I was running the stairs. I get to 25, and then I'm like, I'm going to try 30 today. And then I'd get up to 40. And then I remember I was running 40, and I was getting really tired one day, and I was listening to Goggins, and he's talking about like how he was on this 122-mile run, and he was only 70 miles into it, and he like shit his pants and was like, he was like dying, but he pushed his way through it and ran the other like 50 miles. It's like crazy stuff like that. And I'm not about beating yourself up to where you have nothing, but I like mentally pushing myself and going deeper and deeper. You know, that's what austerity is all about, is going as deep as you can. So physically speaking, you know, I go down to the beach where I'll run the stairs, and I finally got up to 100. You know, 100 stairs
Wow.
up and
Jeez.
down. It takes over an hour. You know, but you know, just really pushing your mind and pushing your body. And then you can use that in your spiritual practice too. There's times when you don't want to wake up in the morning to do your meditation. And before meditating, I you know, like to wake up early, like 4 in the morning, get a cold shower. In the wintertime, nobody likes a cold shower. You know, that's a very austere thing to do in the wintertime. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you shock your system, and it's good for you. It wakes you up mentally, you know, kicks your metabolism in. It's good for your immune system. So I'll do that. And then I'll do my morning rituals, you know, where I'm doing my prayers and meditation and all that. And then I listen to something motivational every day, like on the way to work, you know, and I call it putting on my armor. You know, you leave the house,
Right.
get mentally and physically prepared to face the day. So whenever I'm out in society, people's negativity isn't wearing on me. I try to bring my influence. So when I go to the job site and maybe somebody's in a bad mood, I try to somehow disarm them by being calm myself and try and, you know, it's not often that we have that, but, you know, be
Do you,
prepared.
are now, so I have a million questions just about the morning routine. Are people that are around you every day, do they know you? This is part of your
Yeah.
routine every day?
Yeah.
Are
It's
they,
funny. Like, you know, my buddy, Sean Duffin, he wrote in here a little bit ago. He's the machine operator. I get out of my car and I light a couple sticks of incense every day, and he puts one in the machine. I'll hang one out of a tree, and we work together. And you know, listening to tunes or whatever. Maybe I'll be listening to a lecture or some music, something that gets me spiritually connected or mentally ready to face the day in an optimistic manner.
so yeah,
Yeah,
people
and
are,
everybody knows, you know, like I'm the guy who's, you know, strictly
yeah,
plant-based diet. You know, they know, oh, you know, Foose isn't eating, you know, any jerky or anything like that, you know.
right. Now, have they, is there days that you don't miss? Probably. I'm guessing you don't miss now, but were there days that you missed your routine and everybody noticed?
No, no, not
No.
necessarily. But yeah, everybody has a bad day, though. I mean, sometimes I'll
Yeah.
wake up and I'll be mentally afflicted with something, and you know, and that's when I take that challenge. You know, that's what I'm talking about, pushing yourself. So maybe a day isn't so easy for me. That's when I got to dig deep, and I just have to ask God in the heart, hey, guide my day, please. You know, I need your strength right now. You know, and I just work through it. So you know, it's like anybody could do great things, you know, when they're in a good mood. But whenever you can dig deep down and do the needful, whenever you're like mentally vexed, you know, it's like it's I don't know, it's almost better that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Doing it whenever you like. When I would box, some days I would go in the ring and I'd be sparring and it would feel easy. Some days, you know, I'd feel like, oh, I'm really on my game. But some days I'd go in there and I'd feel like I was a step behind my sparring partner. I'm going to throw the jab and he's hitting me before I'm, and I just feel kind of out of it. And that's when you have to like really collect yourself and be like, I need to push through this. You know, in the face of adversity, whenever you can keep going and find ways to get through it rather than just give up, that's where you make progress in your life, that you can do so many things because you adapt and overcome, you know?
Right.
And that's what
Now,
life's all about. You got to adapt and overcome. You just don't quit.
now you showed us that one of your books earlier.
Yeah.
Which book was that? And also that's on foosforlife.com, right? Yeah.
Boostforlife.com. This is my latest book, Motivate Me. It's a memoir of inspirational quotes, stories, and life lessons. Um, you know, there's a lot of, you know, like some of my favorite quotes from people, you know, each chapter there's a quote from somebody. So this one's by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He says, don't work 8 hours for a company and then go home and not work on any of your own goals. You're not tired, you're uninspired. That to
Mhm.
me is a great quote. And then I tell a story that correlates with that. You know, I tell a story in here on that particular chapter of how I went to work one day. It's like 100 degrees out in the summer, and I had to pour concrete all day. And that was during the time when I was writing this book. And I already had a schedule. After work, I'm going to come home. I do a light workout, work on my book for maybe an hour. But this day we worked a few hours overtime, and and I came home and I was just wiped out. But instead of making, excuses, oh, I'm tired, I'll just do it tomorrow and I won't do my workout. What I did was I forced myself, I'm going to do my workout. And then I sat down, I'm like, I'm going to write. And I was looking for something to write about that day. And then that quote came up, that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's like, you're not tired, you're uninspired. And I was like, wow, man, how great is that? So I wrote on it, ironically, that day about that.
Wow, that's amazing. Where the inspiration comes when you need it, and isn't that wild? I mean, obviously, it's a true thing. It's a thing that happens. You would think that it's impossible to become uninspired with your own stuff, but it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, sometimes I'll be talking to somebody because a lot of people come to me for health advice because I wrote this book on health. It's about juice fasting, raw vegan foods, elixirs, and superfoods. So a lot of people come to me because I've been studying, herbs and juicing and all this stuff for so long. So I know quite a few things. So I try to help people out, and they ask me things. So I'll be talking to somebody like today, my buddy Sean, he's doing a juice fast. And as I'm telling him what to do next in his juice fast, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm saying things that I haven't said in a while to somebody, and it's awakening my, dormant knowledge that I still have here, but I just haven't thought about it in a while. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, do this, this, and this. And then I'm inspired just by sharing that with somebody. And Kastuba here, what's he saying? I got bad eyes.
The almond dressing and recovery smoothie are awesome. The almond dressing and recovery smoothie.
Yeah, those are recipes in my book.
Oh, all right. Raw life.
Yeah, Kastuba, he's the one that inspired me to write this book. Actually, I used to coach people in juice fasting, and then when they would come off the fast, they'd say, "Hey, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to eat after this?" So I'd write down a diet for them and stuff all the time, and I'd always be handwriting stuff. And he was like, "What are you doing, dude?" He goes, "You have all this knowledge. You need to just write a book, and then you could give these books to people." And I got really inspired by that, and I wrote this book in 2014. And
way to go, Stuba, by suggesting that. Isn't that funny how in that story you're the teacher who becomes a student all of a sudden, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's the creamy almond dressing in the book.
Oh, look at that. There we go. I should have,
Yeah.
I need some pictures of that. Look at that.
Oh yeah, man.
That looks
get you
good.
a book, man. I'll get you.
Yeah, I got to get that. Yeah, I got to get that book. And Mike Jones is asking, where can we find his books?
Fooseforlife.com. My boy Jim Fano just texted me. It's hard for me because I see a text coming in up here.
Yeah, that's
Jim
how
Fano, another great guy, man. Great guy in my life, man. Always helping me out. I got good people in my life, man. So I'm blessed by the best.
That's important. Where can you find? So fooseforlife.com. Again, it's pinned in the bottom.
Yeah, Foose. It's my name, Foose for Life.
Yeah, and
to play on the words food for life.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so it's pinned. Yeah, it's pinned at the bottom, and then of course we'll put it in Discord too, but for anybody that misses the show. Of course, van life is a carnivore. Carnivore is the best diet ever. We
hey, go for it, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was 1 year ago, the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
I think we did streams between me and Van Life and others talking about diet and protein for sure, because I had to switch into the staying away from carbs with
You do keto
diabetes.
or something?
Just protein and basically, I mean, now it's kind of like eat whatever, but you have to dose for it. You know, I have to give myself insulin or whatever.
Yeah,
So
diabetes, you need to stay low carbs, and you got to go high fiber, and then
yeah, yeah,
low on the sugar. I know.
yeah. So that's where, yeah, a lot of the carnivore talk came back then because I felt like that's all I could eat at that point. When
Oh
one
yeah.
year ago was protein, all I can eat is steak. That's it. That's all I can eat. But yeah, as you go and learn your body and start to recover, you see you can pretty much eat everything as long
Yeah.
as you dose for it. But obviously, sugar's a no, right?
Right, right. Like if you're diabetic, though, there's certain things you could do. You could take like flax seeds and soak them, or chia seeds and soak them, and add them to like a shake that might have some that's a little bit higher on the glycemic index. You add that to it, and it slowly, sustainably releases the sugars. So there's ways to get around it,
Right.
if you're on that diet.
Yeah, and that was another thing. What he's saying here: too many chemicals in veggies and fruit today, and organic doesn't uh, uh, mean much today. Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, it depends on where your source is. If you're growing your own fruits and vegetables, that's one thing. Or if local farming is the best source right there, and you can go down
right,
your local terminal where the fruits and vegetables are coming in down like the West Side Market. That's all. It's
right.
mostly locally sourced.
Yeah, we are spoiled with that West Side Market. I don't know if people listening now or in the future have a market like that, but West Side Market, you can Google that easily and see in Cleveland. We've been spoiled with that place is great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've always
Awesome.
loved to shop there. Grass says no sugar, period, diabetic or not. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's see. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if your body can process, obviously everything's got to be balanced, right, Don? I mean,
yeah,
if your
yeah.
body can handle sugar, I mean, obviously you don't want to live on it, right? But
Yeah, are they complex carbohydrates? Like, what kind of sugars are you taking into your system? You know, like fresh fruits, your body can process that, but
r-
it's
right,
when you process stuff, that's where like your jellies and stuff like that. That's like, man, it's concentrated, like, or
right,
corn syrups and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, right,
that
right.
new.
Um, has Don heard of new cancer research?
Uh,
Uh,
what's it say?
natural
Cancers?
turns cancer into anti-cancer using natural ingredients.
There's an institute in New Mexico where they'll take hydrogen peroxide, like food grade hydrogen peroxide, and intravenously, to bring your potential hydrogen levels up, your pH levels up naturally, and they've got a real high cure rate there. And then like juice fasting. There was a morbidly obese woman in England. Her name was Angela Stokes, and she went on a 90-day juice fast, and she beat I can't remember if she had cancer or what, but there's many stories of people beating cancer, whether it's through juice fasting or natural means or herbs. There's so many anti-cancerous herbs. In my book right here, I have an anti-cancer elixir, and I'll share that with you right here. But it's yeah, right there. There we go. Anti-cancer, anti-candida. But paw d'arco bark, cat's claw bark, slices of reishi mushroom, and then chaga medicinal mushroom.
So
Those
that's
are
right.
the
That's
five
right.
top anti-cancerous botanical herbs in herbal medicine right there.
Right. So and that's in your book, Foose for Life, right there. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
And
incredible.
cancer can't thrive in an oxygen rich environment. So if you keep your potential hydrogen levels up, you're going to thrive, and the cancer can't exist like that.
Right.
People do cancer therapy, that kills the cancer, but it also kills the person. But whenever you do a natural natural means of battling it, I've seen better results.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're not doctors. Obviously, Don
Right.
studied in it, and I know that it touches very home. It touches very personal with me, and I'm trying to hold back from going on a tirade. But I agree with you, your last statements, wholeheartedly.
Like you said, though, like I have to write in my book. I'm not a doctor,
Right.
and all this
Right.
stuff. But it's like, if my testimony holds any weight, it's because I've seen it
Yeah.
work for people. I've seen a woman that had a 9-pound tumor in her breast that through a juice fast, 90 days of juice fasting, it totally shrunk and disappeared,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
what
I
is it?
I know it's a touchy subject on here as well as everywhere else. So you always had disclaimer,
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. It's and believe me, it's not new as a touchy subject to just the platform that we're on right now, because I've talked to doctors probably well, almost going on 20 years ago now, that
Yeah.
say exactly what you're saying, but they tell me it's mind-boggling how many hurdles they would have to go through, and millions of dollars even to start the process, to have something approved in a pill form or be able to make a claim.
Yeah,
So
they would have to lose millions and millions of dollars
yeah,
because you can't
yeah,
put a patent on,
right, right,
a bundle of kale and
right,
herb,
right,
stuff like that. There's no
yeah.
money. So
And basically going back then, the guy was saying just what you're saying. He told me that he's found the same thing. He said, to be honest with you, and he worked at our largest hospital in town, the
yeah,
one,
yeah,
and he said, ingredients in your backyard. That's what he told me. Yeah.
yeah, man, 100%.
And so it's just again one of those things, and again, everybody that goes through it, you have to make your own choices at that point,
Yeah,
whether you're, and it depends on how much study. Every individual has to make their own choice. I've s- it's hit home for me a couple times, and that's where I had to step back and say, let them make their own choice. If they ask, I'll again offer up an idea or two, but again, you have to be comfortable. That's a scary thing to go through, right? Yeah.
yeah, but like I was holding my mother's hand as she took her last breath because
Yeah. Yeah.
cancer, and it's like when you see something like that, you like, you know, it can't get much worse than that. I mean, so the alternative is to try something
Yeah.
natural. I mean, I don't want to go out like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
however I go out, that's not up to me. So I mean, I got
Right.
no say in that anyway.
Yeah. The show is for entertainment purposes only. Thank you, Mike. But yeah, same thing.
No, man,
Touches
he's
home.
on it.
Yeah, entertainment purposes only. But yeah, when you go through it, it touches home.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to hold back. But again, you always have to make that claim. Yeah, I'm not a
right.
doctor, but I do have two eyeballs. I'm not a doctor, but I can't see. You know.
Yeah.
So beef liver. Just a quick footnote. Be sure tomorrow for a Raiders. That has never made it.
Raiders.
Oh,
They didn't get in the playoffs.
tomorrow for. All right. Yeah. I'll have to figure out all that. But yeah, I would, yeah, definitely tune into that, Gra. Oh, so when are we, yeah, well, remind me of that before we leave, Gra. So when are we going to get another Foose show?
Another Foose show. Well, my band One Life All In, as you probably already knows, they all live in France. So they've given me their blessings that if I can form a band here in Cleveland and play shows locally, go for it. So about a month ago, One Life All In played our very first show in Cleveland ever, and that was with my friends from various other bands, and it we played at the Grog Shop, and it was a great night. Really great show, great people. We had great energy out that night. It was super cool. But I don't know our guitarist Jeff Hamilton, the local guy who's filling in for the French Connection. He is having some issues in his life, and he needed to step down. So I guess we're looking for a guitar player locally, someone young and energetic that can play the riffs, because it's kind of technical stuff.
Yeah. So putting that out there, any guitar player, so dun 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 dun, dun out the news wire. Yeah, get a hold of Don.
Yeah.
Okay, Grout Live, Eddie Block tomorrow at 10. Okay. All right. Awesome. So that's it. No show for Sean, no show planned, but they're
we have some stuff in Europe if he wants to make a trip.
Yeah, Sean. There you go, Sean. Actually, that might be cool. There you go. Okay, there's Indy with the link for tomorrow night with the vet memorial. When I mentioned carnivore diet, so everything was. My mother literally left me years ago. Yeah. All right. All right. So Europe. The rest of the guys are in Europe. Yeah, you told me that last time.
So yeah, they live over in Lyon, France, and that's basically where we did all of our stuff. Like I would fly over there, record, tour, do press, shoot videos, and then just this past summer was when we started playing in America, which it's been really cool. It's been we did some in New York City and Philadelphia. The guys flew in from France actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. We got to play in New York City, and yeah, just had a great time.
Those guys they live in France. Are they all from France?
Yeah, they all live in Lyon or near Lyon now. Our bass player moved out of the city.
And so obviously you've been to France.
Oh yeah, so many times. Back in 1992, I started touring around the world with my band, the Spudmonsters. So, our very first tour was opening for Biohazard on the Urban Discipline tour, and that was such a huge tour, man. It was like 2,000 people every night, at least, every single night playing in front of that crowd.
Oh, that's when you had the tie-dye shirts, right?
Yeah.
I don't forget anything.
Hey,
I don't
forget.
I know. I don't forget anything. In fact, you sent me the picture, but go ahead with your story. Sorry about that.
Gosh, yeah, it was too much, but that tour was such a great experience. Every single night was just like a dream, and then in the daytime, just traveling around and seeing the world. And finally, after playing all the shows locally or kind of out of town in the States, where we would show up and there would be no food for us and nowhere to stay, and, not getting treated, to anything.
I know.
Up there, and, we got a big spread backstage, and people,
I know. I try to tell people that. I try to tell. Sean says if you pay him, he'll do pictures for your band that you like when he gets pictures of you flying. Pictures of you flying.
Yeah, he gets pictures of me jumping off of the stage.
Yeah, those are great pics. But yeah, I try to tell people that too about Europe. Because the tour manager, when I went over to play, he lived in Barcelona. So we always started in Spain first, but always France and, all the different surrounding countries. But for some reason, artists are treated differently over there, aren't they?
Yeah, especially back in the early 90s, when we were playing the Eastern Bloc of, of Europe. And then I remember being in Berlin. Yeah, it was only a couple of years after the wall came down, so
right.
Playing in places where freedom was new to them, to the people, and they appreciated stuff so much, that people coming up and crying and hugging you after a show. Oh, that was so wonderful. We really appreciate you guys coming to our small town. And the appreciation I saw that these people had, for us, we were just some new band coming around, and it really, it had a huge impact on me, and we just loved it. So we ended up touring throughout 23 countries and, really meeting great people around the world and witnessing so much crazy stuff. It's like I got many more books that I could write if I wanted to share some of that stuff, but great stuff.
Wow, was that a surprise? The wall coming down was major. Yeah, that absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I tell the story in my book um, about, we were playing some show and I had this old Social Distortion shirt on. And it was all torn up and it was a real hot show, man. We were soaked head to toe, man. And I took it off during the set. I'm like, I'm tossing this shirt. I'm done with it. And I just threw it in the crowd. And all these people went and they grabbed at it and they were all pulling at it. And I'm thinking, oh man, they're going to ruin the shirt. I hope somebody gets it. And they pulled it to pieces. And all they wanted was a little piece so they could remember the show, So after the show, I was signing people's tickets stuff. And people were like showing me, look, I got a piece of your shirt. This is so wonderful. And I was like, I just saw what it meant to these people. It's like in America, if somebody's tossing a shirt in the crowd, they're probably throwing it right back at you and spitting on you too.
yeah, right. Or I wanted to say hi to LSP. Good to see you, Devil Dog. What's going on? Yeah, speaking of spitting on you, I remember when we played in South America the time. It took a minute to get used to the fact that meant that was a good thing.
They liked you, yeah.
Yeah, and you would be singing, and then all of a sudden there's a loogie hanging from the mic there, or worse, all over you.
Yeah.
So that's hard. That's hard to get used to. That being a good thing.
Yeah, there's so many things that I learned being on tour, of how people act. There was this one show we did in Serbia.
Oh yeah.
And there's a video of it on YouTube of that show. And I got this running start. I saw this girl being picked on in the crowd, some skinhead. They kept hitting her on the head with his elbow. And I just got this running start. I just dove out as far as I could, seeing if I could get to him. And I just dropped an elbow on him and stuff. But I just see how people, how he's treating a girl. And I didn't like it,
Yeah, you were just stage diving. That's all.
That's it.
Sean wants to know, with all the places you've been down, what's your best to play?
My favorite place I've ever played was the Marquee Club in England, in London. And it's right down by Piccadilly Circus. It was just the best place. The Doors played there. Hendrix played there. Janis Joplin, Rolling Stones. It was kind of like the Fantasy Theater, but smaller. It's just a real, like maybe 500 capacity, but what a great place. We played there a bunch of times with Life of Agony and Propane, with Lawnmower Death. What a great band that was.
Lawnmower Death. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Good to see you, Kiss Off. Good to see you. So you would say that club in London then, right? London would be your favorite.
Yeah, that's the one historical place. We played CBGB's in New York, and for what a shithole that place was, it was a really, really cool place to play.
Yeah.
So much history there. When you're in there, you felt it.
Yeah.
All the history of that place just kind of permeated and you felt it. Now, I remember we were playing there. I'm up on stage. I look in the crowd and I see all these guys from the band Sick of It All. And then I see the guys from the band Cause for Alarm and some of the guys from Agnostic Front and the guys in MOD and Propane were there. And, and the guys in Biohazard were there. And I was like, everybody in the crowd that night when we played was like from bands that we either toured with or that I grew up listening to that I really loved. And it was like really cool.
Yeah.
Playing there.
Yeah, that you definitely felt the nostalgia in there. I got lucky enough to play there a couple of times too.
Nice.
Always with big, I remember they always would have like this giant bill, like 18 bands or something. The only one I can remember was Sisters Grimm, but yeah, you can feel it and you think about how many bands came out of there. Obviously the Ramones, Blondie, the Talking Heads.
It's endless. I think Bruce Springsteen even played there.
Yeah, probably everybody, and they all, and I mean, if you do a little history of about that place to kind of like you say when you start contemplating who was the godfather of punk, blah blah. They
Yeah.
credit that as William Burroughs, the writer that wrote Naked Lunch, because he used to hang out there all the time too. So
Right.
I mean, that's pretty heavy, you know.
Yeah, Hilly Crystal. That was the guy that
Yeah,
started CBGBs. Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty
And
cool. A lot of
I don't I know that at one point they were going to move it to Vegas, and I was kind of against that, which
yeah. It
yeah, I
would
don't
wouldn't have worked there.
know. So
No,
uh
you needed the
the
actual punks from the Lower East Side down in the Bowery, that were living in squats and another cool place I played. It's not one of my favorite places to play, but we played at this club called the ABC No Rio, and that was in the Lower East Side of New York City too. And they used to run cables out of the place because they didn't even have electricity in the club, so they run it, to some apartment that was just around the corner.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we played there, and a couple days before us, I have the old flyer, and Green Day played there before they hit it big, and it was just a real punk rock underground place. Niels, the one of the singers from the band Nausea, used to do booking there, and they were like a crust punk band, so that was a really interesting place to play.
Yeah, I mean the history of those clubs. You remember, like, I mean, you imagine when, like, in the '70s when they were all playing there,
Yeah,
late '70s, just everybody had moved out of the city, right? So it was
yeah,
just those, kind of guys left and
yeah,
making their own fun and music and just so many great bands came out of that area at that time. You can really, yeah, you definitely could feel it when you were in CB's, no doubt.
yeah. But even when I got over to Europe, you would find out whenever you're going through uh, certain towns, you kind of find out what their CBGB is. Like there's
Right.
a club
Yeah.
in Belgium. It's called the Bebop, and that was such a great place. You know, and then
Mhm.
what's the place? There was a place in Essen called the Zeche Karel. Zeche Karel. Yeah. And the guy, the guitarist, Millie from the band Creator, he lived down in the basement of that place. It was such a cool club. And anytime we play there, totally packed. Everybody's buying shirts. We're selling like 150, 200 shirts that day. It's like, you know, when you're on tour, this is a good merch market. People come, they all want to hang out and take pictures with you, and they want to buy your merchandise, and they want to hang out after the show. There's another club called the Bar in Slovakia, and they just closed, and that was in Tupolchany. What a great place. Um, I mean, some places like that where, whenever you pull up to the club, everyone's like, oh, hey, we signed this. Will you come hang out with us? Please take pictures. And they're still taking pictures with those stupid little paper cameras, that you have to take
Yeah.
a photo
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they love it, man. And then they're all excited, and then they want your home address, and
Yeah.
email's cool, but no, I want to write you snail mail. So for the longest time, and still to this day, I'll get mail from Europe. I like snail mail and connecting with people on a personal level,
Yeah. That's
with handwritten letters. And that's cool.
yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a suitcase upstairs of a bunch of letters from people.
Right. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. LSP said I couldn't get into punk.
Maybe
Yeah.
you're listening to the wrong punk bands.
Yeah, I think you're listening to wrong punk. Yeah, no, but yeah, I think every genre, yeah, obviously some people like it one genre more than the other, but I think I find myself, I mean, even though there's genres that I don't uh like as much as I like maybe say another genre,
Yeah.
you can at least acknowledge or recognize a good idea or talent.
Oh yeah, for
You know.
sure.
Yeah. So I think Mike Jones asked, but LSP, yeah, we got to get you some good punk. But I think Mike Jones asked earlier if you saw Before the Wall Came Down.
No.
No.
Nope.
And here's a question from Sean. Thank you guys for all the questions tonight and hanging out. Again, we're hanging out with Don Foose, if you don't know. This question is for both David and Foose. in your prime time, if your band members called it quit, would you continue music or what would you do?
Well, let's say questions for you too, David. Why don't you go first?
Um, no, no, normally, well, it depends. It depends on the band. I think that the band I was in for, like, say, my 20s, I think if someone quit, it was generally like, we were like brothers. So they quit for a few weeks. If there was a show, someone else played it and they got back. And then there was, it was just a revolving door, but we were all friends, came out of it friends. And then another band, members were quitting and we decided without the four guys it just wouldn't work, and so we in that instance we decided just call it quits, because it was the thing, like we felt like we all started it, I think. So it just depends. It's a case by case. I think if I was to start something and say, record 8 songs and then I was just, you know doing all the work, then I would probably be more apt to just get people to play.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, if it's a thing where you sit down and all wrote and participated, then I feel like I wouldn't be being fair if I just kept on going and calling it that name or whatever. But that's just a couple instances of what I dealt with.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I was in the Spudmonsters for like 10 years, and we finally called it quits at the end of one European tour. That was actually, we were on Century Media Records. We were playing sold out shows everywhere throughout Europe. Everything was great. I kind of lost my taste for music for a little while. 'Cause I went and I lived in a temple for a little bit and started really getting in, trying to figure my life out and stuff too. So although we called it quits, everybody in the band went and did other things, and I started other things. I started the band Run Devil Run. I went on to do my band Foose, and then I also ended up doing One Life Only. I did 13 projects altogether. So yeah, everybody just kind of went off and did their own thing eventually. Anyway, your picture was up there.
I made it back. No,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was great. That's great. Yeah. So I think, yeah, obviously from our answers, yeah, it depends on the band and what you're doing. But yeah, like the Spud Monsters,
yeah.
you guys, what year did you guys call it quits?
That was 97, 98, like
What?
98. And then, we came back from a European tour and I was just kind of fried. It's all we had been doing for the longest time. And then, yeah, I was just ready to kind of do something else. And, it was cool because our drummer and guitarist, Eric and Eric, they went to join the band Propane in New York. And then
Oh,
Scott, our guitarist, he went and joined like the Cro-Mags and ended
oh,
up,
wow.
he
Wow.
played it. He played in Biohazard too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now he currently plays in a band called The Take with Will Shepler from Agnostic Front, Madball, and doing great
Wow.
things. He's still touring all over the world, which is cool. Hey, I got this friend of mine, Jim Fano, and he texted me this thing. He said, "Tell your story about how you became a musician." He was asking me to share because he thinks it's a funny story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the
So
text.
yeah. So that's actually a pretty funny story. I was out drinking in high school with my buddies, and we went to this party, and there was a band playing in the driveway, and they're just jamming away up there, and no singer, they're just playing instrumentally. And the guy gets up on the mic. He's like, "Yeah, man, anybody knows this next song?" They're just playing a bunch of cover songs, and he's like, "Anybody knows this next song? And feel free to grab the mic. Our singer couldn't make it out tonight, man. Just help us out." And he's like, "This is a Metallica song. This is the Four Horsemen." And that was, like just after Kill 'Em All had come out. And I think actually Ride the Lightning was out by then too. It was 84. And
Nice. Great album. Great album.
yeah. So I knew the words to that song, and I had a couple soda pops in me. I was like, "What the hell?" I jumped up
Yeah.
there, grabbed the mic, and man, just hearing those power chords, and I was like, "Yeah!" I just got into it, and I just started jumping around, going crazy, and everyone started coming to the front where we were, and then I was feeding off their energy, and before I knew it, I was just going nuts and just singing and having the time of my life, man. So we get through the song and everybody's like clapping and like, yeah, fuck yeah, it was awesome, dude, cool. And I walked over, there was a keg over there. I was drinking with my dopey friends. And this dude walks up to me and he had these tight jean shorts on and he had a wooden leg. He had a wooden leg and he came limping up to me. He's like, yo, bro, what band you in, man? I said, oh, dude, I'm not in a band. That's the first time I ever even sang into a microphone before. He goes, dude, you should be in a band. And I was like, wow, yeah, maybe I should. You know, I was like really inspired by what he said, you know, so that was the catalyst that, you know, gave me that was the impetus that I needed to like seek out something other than listening to music, but actually playing.
And there was no looking back then. There was no looking back. You were addicted then at that point.
Yeah, man, you get that rush, you know, that rush of jumping around, playing in front of people and feeling the energy of music going, you know, through yourself. It was really cool.
So then okay, we got a couple questions, but was the Spudmonsters your first band then?
Spudmonsters was the first like real band that I was in. Before that I was in a band called the Bagmen. They went on to become Face Value. Tony Urba's the guy that replaced me, and they were really a great band.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
Kind of broke my heart leaving them because that was the first thing that I really organically did myself, where I wrote the lyrics, those guys wrote the music, and it was just from the ground up. It was really cool. But I auditioned for the Spudmonsters, didn't make it initially. You know, they had an ad in the paper, Spudmonsters seek aggressive vocalist and second guitar. So I went and auditioned, tried out. They didn't call me back. I was like, huh. So I was like, all right, whatever. So didn't hear back from them. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to start my own thing. I did the Bagmen. We put out an EP, pretty cool songs, you know, just for us writing stuff. And then
Stuba says yes, Bagman. Yeah, I love the name. Yeah, definitely. Bagman. Love it.
But, you know, I was at a concert one night. It was Chain of Strength, Youth of Today, Bold, and the Gorilla Biscuits. What a great show that was. And Chris Andrews, the guitarist of the Spudmonsters, came up to me. He says, hey, Don, that's the first time I saw him since the audition. He said, you still interested in singing for the Spuds? And I go, oh, hell yeah, man. He put his hand out. He goes, welcome aboard. And he shook my hand.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was cool. And then I was like, wow, now I got to break it to these guys in the Bagmen that I'm not going to play with them anymore.
Wow.
That broke my heart. But, you know, we started practicing every single night. I had to learn the songs that the old singers had written, which is probably about 30 songs there. Then I had to start writing lyrics for all these songs that we had written. And, you know, and every night we would practice all the songs in the set, like twice. So it was really militant. You know, we practiced it just about every single day. And there was no BS in between songs, you know, like some bands practice and it's like they'll play a song, then they'll smoke a cigarette and talk and all this. It was like right at that last note, you're going right into the next song, or there's a 4 count, or audibly going into that next song. So I learned professionalism by being in that band. And that was props to Chris, because Chris is the guy who instilled that in all of us.
What
great leader.
How long were those guys together before you started singing with them?
They started in 1986. I got in the band in 1989.
Wow.
Yeah,
so they were tight.
Was the original singer.
They were tight. They were just so tight already, huh?
For the most part, yeah, they were tight. And then me and Scott got in at the same time, and that was really cool, man. That was my life. He asked me, he said, "Are you ready to religiously be in this band?" And I was like, religiously? What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
He's like, you got to be married to this band. I'm like, all right. So, you know, he was booking all kinds of great shows too. We played with GBH, Faith No More. We were doing big shows, Suicidal Tendencies, whatever, you know, Slayer, DRI. You know, we got on really good shows, really big shows. And before you know it, man, every time we play out, more and more people were there, and more and more people were up front singing the lyrics, and it grew quick. It was great.
Because when by the time you joined the band and you guys were playing out, you were always packing the place, right? I,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to remember from memory. I can't remember a show where there was only 10 people there. No, you got I mean it was
No,
just
there were a couple of those along the way. Like if we played in Akron, for some reason we would play in Akron just a half hour away, and there would be nobody there.
right.
But like once in a while we would do a Sunday matinee. We did a Sunday matinee with a band called the Guns, which were a great band, and there was a smaller crowd.
Yeah.
But it was only a few of those here and there. I mean, I think every band has a few farters along the way, but generally, or if we played in Pittsburgh was never really great for us for some reason until we actually got signed, and then it got better.
Wow. Sean wants to know with all the songs you've played / wrote, what's one song that still brings chills to your body?
There's a song called "Pressure" off the second to last album that we did. "Isolation" really moves me too. They were both off of "Moment of Truth" album. 100%'s a great song. The whole "Moment of Truth" album was really great. And a lot of that old stuff that we did, it was more of a joke band at the time. The old singers both wrote kind of funny lyrics, kind of in the vein of Murphy's Law, and that was cool. But I felt like I just had more serious stuff to write about, although I still enjoyed the other stuff as well. But some of the old songs that they wrote, like that song "Slavery," was always a really cool dance part. "Self-Proclaimed Expert" had that really cool bass part in the middle that the crowd would just go nuts when the guitars kicked in. Yeah. You better mention 100%. Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs too.
Stuba, yeah, not letting you forget some of these tunes, but yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, so you just jumped in, you played that party, and then jumped in, and Spudmonsters were success. And then, how long before you were in Europe then?
Took a few years, man. Like 89 and 90, 91, we were like really pushing hard, playing all the time, in and out of town. And then they had the what do you call it? What was that? The undercurrents. Remember the undercurrents that would come out here?
Oh yeah.
And record labels would come in and try to check out the local talent.
Yeah.
We had Neil Schroeder from Metal Blade Records. He was going to come out and see us, and we're like, wow, Metal Blade, that's Slayer, that's Voivod, that's all these big bands. It was and Metallica was on Metal Blade at one time. So
yeah,
we're like, wow, so his flight, the night that we were going to be playing at the Empire, he doesn't show up. He missed his flight, and that show was crazy. Like, we went on stage, we did this big stage show. Like, I don't know who it was. One of our roadies went and bought like thousands of stuffed animals, because they had these big bags of stuffed animals at some what do you call it? March of Dimes or whatever. So they brought all this stuff, and they were hanging them from the ceiling everywhere. And they built this big Jack in the Box out of this big refrigerator box. And they painted it up and put Spud paper over the top of it. And they put a big crank on the side. And then our bass player's brother, we called him Underwear Man. He'd come out on stage in just his underwear and black dress shoes. And he comes out there all walking all weird, and he starts cranking up the thing. And I popped out of the box with Silly String spraying the crowd. It was just some crazy thing we just did that night, and the crowd went absolutely crazy. And there's videos of it around. I would love to see one, but you got to see how crazy that crowd went. And like, if this guy from Metal Blade had made it, it was like a no-brainer that we would have signed right there and then, because that was like one of the craziest shows ever. We called it the Circus from Hell show.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
wow.
So he comes into town the neit's morning. He's like, I still want to see you guys play. So he goes to our practice space and watched us practice.
Oh,
which is like totally anticlimactic, So it's like, but he ended up really liking us. signed us to the Metal Massacre 11 compilation album, which all those Metal Massacre albums were like collector's items, right? With the Metallicas, the Voivods, all these bands, you know.
Yeah.
But
that's incredible, right in itself. Yeah, that is incredible.
yeah, and so right when we were about to sign with them, that guy Neil Schroeder got fired. So, but it was a good thing. It was a blessing because our bass player Joe Kilcoyne had to quit the Spudmonsters. He joined the band Mystic. They signed with Massacre Records over in Germany. They went over and did some shows with Ian Gillan from
Deep Purple.
Yeah, Deep Purple, and they did a tour with Paul Di'Anno from Iron Maiden.
Wow.
So yeah, so Joe was like, "Here, you hear this demo of this band I used to be in, the Spudmonsters. They're blowing up in America. You got to check them out." And right then was right around the time when Biohazard and all this crossover metal hardcore stuff was really blowing up. So Massacre's like, "Yeah, we want a band like that on our label." So they signed us to a 3-album deal, and then we went over and toured with Biohazard. We show up in Europe, and the record label's got boxes and boxes of CDs, LPs, boxes of Frisbees with the Spudmonster guy on there with a gun in his hand. They had Spudmonsters beer, Spudmonsters potato chips, posters, everything you could think of, promoting us like anything. So we'd go out on stage every night throwing Frisbees into the crowd, and everyone's like, "Yeah." It was just nuts.
Spudmonsters, Frisbees. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. What a just an amazing feeling. And it's just something you never come back from, I imagine. You never come back. You never come back from that.
Well, I told this story on the Level Up Cleveland podcast with my boy Big Bry. It was funny. Our very first show in Europe was in Munich, and it was in this big airport hangar. A couple thousand people there. It's totally packed. Evan from Biohazard says, "Dude, these people they're gonna like you guys. Don't worry if they just stand there. They're just checking you out. Just go out there and do your thing." So we went out there and we just totally blew the roof off the place. We just went nuts. The crowd went crazy for us. Yeah, I'm coming off the side of the stage and I look in down the hallway, and there's all these people kind of like packed, and it looks like there's a big fight because there's just all these people like swarming around. I'm like, "What's going on?" I said, "Is there a fight?" And Evan goes, "Bro," he goes, "they're fighting to get to your merch table. They really
wow." Oh man.
Yeah, we were blown away. We were like, "Man, that's incredible." And then that night, I remember we hooked up with these girls. They were like models, they were like really beautiful girls. And they're like, "Oh, we would like for you to come to our flat and make a party with us, please." So we had this dude, we were driving in a Winnebago, and our driver, he looked like Igor, like a little Frankenstein dude,
Right, of course.
And like, "Bro, we got to go stay the night at this chick's house.
We got to make a party.
Yeah. So we go there, and we're just chilling all night, and girls are parading around the house half dressed, and we're like, what is this? It felt like Motley Crue, And then the next morning they're making pancakes for the band and stuff, and burning incense, and it was just a real chill atmosphere. And then we saw our video for the song Garbage Day come on MTV. Wow, we were just laying there. And I looked at Scott, our guitar player. I was like, "Bro, we made it, man." And I'm thinking this is going to be like that every day on tour. But that was the very first show ever. Nothing like that ever happened again.
Yeah, that's incredible, cool. Though. That's incredible on a lot of different levels. I mean, man, it's like instant, you get instant payback for your hard work and great, the great music that you guys are putting out, and people appreciate. I mean, that's great. And when I say you never came back, I mean, it's just like that. I mean, that has to be inspiring and changes you.
Yeah.
And that's very awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. Sean wants to know, are those songs available on CD? And I guess he's going back to the songs that you named as your favorites.
Yeah, Moment of Truth. You can find it on eBay every once in a while. What's funny is our 7-inch albums, you'll see those on eBay every once in a while, but they go for like $300 or $400 just for a 7-inch album.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, because they were
Do you,
limited edition and colored vinyl, and yeah,
do you have a copy of that yourself?
yeah. I have a
You
couple
do.
of 7 inches myself. Yeah, I
Yeah.
try to keep one of everything, but I lose stuff.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
not
Yeah.
good.
David, are you interested in interviewing other bands? Yes, sir. Yeah. Interesting people, other bands. And yeah, absolutely. Van Life Biker says, calm down. Yeah.
That's
Calm
fun.
down. Yeah. Yeah. That I used to, well, I still say that quite a bit. Calm down, calm down,
Yeah,
calm down. In fact, that's it. That's our one of the one of our best shirts in the merch store is calm down. Just says calm down.
yeah. That's great.
So it's really good advice. Actually, I've had people that wrote me that said that they were getting ready to freak out and then they remembered to calm down.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's great testimony that someone used just a simple calm down in their own life. But
Well, look at it whenever you're panicking about something, the best thing you can do is just relax, because in a state of relaxation, that's where you can come up with the panacea or the cure. You know, you have to,
mhm.
you can't do anything whenever your mind's scrambled, you know?
No, I think right. If you're in a fearful state or in a chaotic state, you make bad, terrible choices. Yeah,
Yeah, it says in
absolutely.
the Bhagavad Gita, the Shastra that I read from, says, that one must have a steady mind, in order to do things in a positive light.
As Don says, positive energy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything's energy, isn't it? I mean, you really do. Calming down is medicine. Yeah. You really do have a lot of control, right? Again, those are two great points. The energy, like if you're in a fearful or a chaotic state, the energy is obviously way different that's gravitating towards you than
yeah,
if you are in a calm state. Yeah, I know sometimes it's hard, but yeah, I've watched some really bad things happen that I knew were going to happen to people because I watched how chaotic they were and it just kept snowballing
yeah,
and I just watched really odd things attract themselves to that person. And I mean, I'm sure it's happened to me too, but watching someone else go through it, you could kind of see it. But
yeah, man. You can learn what not to do just by watching people, you know?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's
All
fun.
right. Well, we're going to start wrapping it up. This has been amazing. I'm trying to, I do have a million other questions, but again, hopefully we'll get back together. I do appreciate you coming and talking to us so quick. This is amazing. You really do have a lot of great information. Again, it's fooseforlife.com
Yep.
where you can get the cookbook and also the positive vibes book.
Yep. Motivate me. And
And those both look great. Yeah.
thank you.
And then One Life All In, right? We
One
got the
Life All In. Yes. So we have the new album out on Fast Break Records, and that's Eye of the Storm. And then this is our EP before that, One Life All In, Letter of Forgiveness. That is maybe my favorite song I've ever written. It's a song called Letter of Forgiveness. We have a video of it on YouTube. Maybe check that out. I really like that song a lot. Letter of
oh,
Forgiveness by One Life All In.
okay, I'll have to put that link in. Do you guys have a YouTube channel, One Life All In?
Yeah, yeah. One Life All In, and there's a link.
Oh,
Link.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
I'll copy and paste it for anybody watching now or in the future that wants that link. I'll put it in after we're done here.
Thank you.
Are any of these albums on Spotify?
Yeah, I believe they all are.
Yeah.
They should be on all the major Spotify, Apple, Pandora, all that stuff. You know, can you buy stuff on Pandora? Or do you just listen on it?
Pandora. I don't know. I think you probably could get a paid subscription. But I think in general, where you may be able to pick and choose. So technically, I think you can pay, but I think for the most part, I would use it free. Rick,
My boy Rick Fagan chime in, and that's my guy, man. Thanks,
great
man.
interview. Absolutely. Don's got a lot of good stuff. LSP says, "Be right back." All right. All right. Once again, Don, thank you very much for coming in
Yeah, thanks
to
for
the
having
show. Really good stuff. is there anything you'd like to? Pandora is a paid subscription. Oh, Pandora is paid. Okay.
Is it?
I think there's some free stuff you can do with it, but I know, yeah, you can get a paid
I
subscription.
usually just play stuff and it has commercials, but I think you get it without commercials if you.
Okay. Again, I'll put this in the link and also are in the description. Mike Jones, but Mike Jones wants to know what is your YouTube channel again?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, Super Foosball, but my band, One Life All In, I think it's just One Life All In.
Okay. Yeah,
But
we'll get. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll have to get both those links in the description then. All right, Mike.
yeah,
Okay, that's what I have I have the YouTube Foos for Life. All right. So I'll after the show, I'll get those links for everybody and
yeah.
put them in there. All right. Cool. All
But
right.
hey, man, I wanted to shout you out, man. I appreciate what you're doing, man. When you put bands on here and people on here and let them tell their stories, and you're a pro's pro, man. I appreciate you for having
Hey,
me.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Yeah, means a lot. Yeah, I enjoy talking to people, and I mean, I love the angle. I mean, that when you have something like music or something in common with other people. But I like to get to know all different things, and you definitely do have layer after layer of really great knowledge, and I appreciate you sharing it with our audience.
Thank you,
And
bro.
I
Appreciate
know
it.
that they appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to push to end the show here.
Okay.
Uh, thank you all for watching. We'll be back. I'm not sure when, maybe Saturday, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. Keep your eyes peeled. Don, thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you.
again,
Thanks
Foos for
everybody
Life.
for listening.
Thank you. Great interview.
Take care.